I know you got to spend some time with this gentleman. We'll talk about it after we run it down. We're talking about Chad O'Shea, who's the wide receiving coach for the Cleveland Browns. Spent years with Kansas City, special teams coach. You see it all. The Vikings, and then New England under Bill Belichick. Total of 8 years there, and 9 years actually. So he was coaching Gronk and that Edelman and that group. We'll talk about what he's going to have to deal with here. He has virtual training camp advice. I don't think I'd ever think that I would say that. Virtual training camp advice. Any idea what that is, Bud?
No, again, I'll use that word, unprecedented.
In the unprecedented 2020 season. So he has some real, not virtual tips for rookies here. Number 1, get open. Number 2, catch the ball. And number 3, compete in the run game. And he says if you can't do the first 2, you won't last in the league. And if you don't do the last one, you're not going to last with the Browns. So my final piece of advice is shut up and work. It's a good thing I pre-read that. So you actually know this guy?
Yeah, a friend of mine is a real estate guy on this side of town, and he met Chad, sold him a house, and we got together. This was long before social distancing was a thing, so restaurants were still open, and I had the pleasure of his company for a couple of hours one night. Very good guy.
I know
anybody that lasts 9 years with Bill Belichick, is a hard worker. And he's a guy who went to the Dolphins with friend Brian Flores when Flores got the head coaching job, and was as stunned as many others were down there that he got fired after one season.
Now, so he's here, and that's great. But what that also means is he's got to take care of Odell Beckham Jr. and some other people. But he had Gronkowski, so how tough can that be?
Well, I think it's a little different of a situation, Les, because I think in New England those guys, even while Gronk acted up off the field, I don't think any of that spilled into the locker room. I don't think Gronk was one of those guys that if he got 3 catches on a particular game was in the offensive coordinator's ear about getting the ball more. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think that Gronk's craziness spilled over onto the sidelines as it did, I think, with this group last year. And that doesn't mean these guys aren't good competitors or don't want to work hard or give it their all. But I do think it's a little bit different of a situation. And with having Belichick, I think that helped his assistant coaches too reach players, and I think what Chad O'Shea is saying to rookies, he's a pretty smart guy. I bet you he wants the veterans to see the same thing and take that advice to heart just as well.
Now, was the house that he bought? Of course, it was in Strongsville because that's where all the potential coaches buy them here in Cleveland.
All right, they all move next to the house that's still for sale that Bill Cowher is thinking of buying.
Era Parsegian, I thought was supposed to buy one there also.
I spent the first 10 minutes of the dinner explaining to Chad O'Shea why his name gets so many double takes in this town. Then I told him all about Chad OJ, so he was interested in hearing that story and his OJ's role in the '97 World Series.
Right. I was just thinking, what a lucrative job must be to be the team real estate agent.
Well, my buddy doesn't work. He doesn't get all the coaches from the team. If he did, he probably would be retired and living in the Caymans right now.
So, all right, with your vast experience here, did Chad O'Shea come in? Did he question you at all, or was he just trying to be a nice guest at dinner?
Yeah, I mean, he had heard some things about the town, what kind of a football town it was, and he. I forget, there was some really kind of minor thing that we all take for granted here where Browns fans turned out in droves for something. And I wish I could remember the exact thing it was, but that got his attention, and he said to his wife, like, wow, this is a different kind of place. This is the place that I've been hearing about. These fans are really, really excited about this team and the chance of being good. So, he's a guy that's going to be demanding, I think, of players, and I think he saw some of the things that happened here last year and realized that, he didn't say this out loud to me, but I think he saw that this was a very interesting situation when you had Baker Mayfield with, friendly faces in the quarterback room that he knew from college and that had worked with him. When he saw the LSU receiver coach who knew those guys back from college, knew Landry and Beckham back from college. And I just think in New England, it's just a different deal. It's like they're not that it's adversarial, but coaches really hold guys accountable and push them and push them and push them on a daily basis there. And I don't think that was always the case here last year.
You think that the event he was talking about with his wife had to do with the night they turned the lights on down at First Energy Stadium and practiced the coin flip?
That might be it.
Yeah.
Actually, I do remember what it was, but I think it's something I better tell you off air.
Oh, okay.